and welcome to part 17 of Let's Build a Chatbot in C# using Microsoft Agent Framework. Part 17 is the last of what I call Season 1, meaning that we use Blazor Server. There will be a Season 2 with multiple things that we will cover at the end of this video. But for this last session, we are gonna talk about deployment to Azure and a little summary about what we actually did so far in the last 17 parts. So let's get into it. So when we need to deploy, we have a bunch of options. Because we are Blazor Server, there's certain things we can't use, like Azure Functions, because they can't run the GUI. We can't use static apps because they can't run .NET, and similar like GitHub pages we can't use. But beyond that, if it can run .NET, it can more or less do it. So there's Azure Container Apps for Aspire, because we use Aspire. It has a specific one, so we can get the dashboard up in the cloud as well. We can use container apps in general. We could use Windows Server app services, either for Windows or Linux. We could host it on our own web server, the Internet Information Server machine. There's nothing special here that couldn't run there. I've tried all these, not for this specific project, but in general for projects I have done in the past using AI. But I haven't tried things like Azure Container, Service Container, App Container Registration, or virtual machines, or the Docker Container Registration. But there shouldn't be nothing stopping it from running. So I did two of these. So I have two deployments of the system. One being the app service, which is so easy to do. It took less than 5 minutes. And then I tried this for the first time. I hadn't tried this before. And this is really a nightmare to begin. Once it's up and running, it's okay. It's a bit slow, but it has some benefits. And that's why we are also trying to use it here. But it took me over 2 hours to get working, and with a lot of help of AI from Codex, because if you just right click and say publish in Visual Studio on the app host, it absolutely don't work. It have no concepts of trying to use the parameters, so it makes wrong files behind the scenes. It's slow. It just say fail. AI can fix what it does, but the out of the box experience here is totally poor. Of course, in real life, we would need to do workflows up in GitHub Actions, but for now, I'm using the publish feature. And when I did it up here and published to app service windows, it just took a couple of seconds and then it was done. While this first up, it failed in trying to publish to central Sweden because there was not more capacity. Then I tried another region where certain of these resources couldn't be spun up. And then I've tried a third one, and every single time it takes like 20 to 30 minutes to get this up and running. And it's not only me, it's also a lot of people having the same problem, seeing up to 90 minutes before these different resources have been spun up. So really, really poor experience, especially in the first time. Now, if we press publish, yes, it will take a couple of minutes, but at least it does it. So why do we keep up with this then? Well, it's because the web app that I'm using, let's go to the different sites. So the web app I have here, it is running on the service plan F1, F0. meaning it's a free. No, I'm actually on. Oh, it's called F1. It's not called F0. So if we look in here, these can be fairly heavy prices, as you can see over here. This one is free, so I'm running here, but we can only have 5 of you trying out this setup because WebSuffix is locked down. We can't set custom domains onto free one, and so on. So while it works, we can go to that's this one, mafchatbot.azurewebsite.net. It works. It feels pretty fast. And try to say hello. And everything should be working. So we see that things works as it should, but we can't really control too much. But for a demo like this, and giving it for free, having a different domain here is okay. If we want to use a custom domain and we want to use the container apps roughly cost $5 a month to run, while the other one is free. So I might take it down at some point after you have tried it out. But what we get from the app container app deployment is these various resources for registry, managed identity, log analytics, and so on. It's much more opinionated what goes in there. The real one we are using is the Blazor server, which is the app itself. And it comes with a scale of 1 here, meaning it always runs, and up to 10 different auto-scaling. I don't like that because that costs more money. So I've actually put it down to 0 and 1 in order to save a bit of money. Else it would have cost more. But we have the option to add custom domains. So I have my own domain, rwj.dk, and I went into my hosting provider and made a CNAME and a TXT file. And doing that made it possible to add a custom domain here, which was nice. So when we are on this, we can see this URL or use the now custom domain, but we can also go and see the dashboard. So the dashboard is here running up in the system with the custom domain URL and the Blazor server URL and so on. So we have options to that. One special thing you need to know is that you can't see the parameters anymore once they're deployed. When you need to see them, they are down in secrets here and are being auto-populated, which is kind of nice. Compared to over here, you need to put them in yourself into the system like this. Because everything is environment variables, so we need to put them in. I actually made Codex do it for me using their skill over here. So that was not a big deal, but once they're up there, it should be running. By the way, I made some fairly large changes to the app host itself, putting these into various extension methods and also renamed them a bunch. So when we run it locally here, we will see that most of these are now in app settings instead. All the non-secrets are here. And in local, under parameters, we only have the ones that are actually truly secrets. So there's 2 places to see, and there's a few name changes in there. So if you have already gotten the code, you might need to reset these. But if we go back here and see the system and we see the real one here, we can now go to maaf-chatbot.rwj, and if we just refresh here, we can see that we get the different logins. And of course, we can log in and log out with the various different providers here. Of course, when I did all this, we got some new URLs, custom domains, and so on. So I needed to go into Auth0 and the app settings for Entra and put in the new callback URLs, allowed callbacks. Else, of course, didn't work. But that's just normal setup of identity providers. But I can log in. I already logged in with my GitHub here, so it just goes in directly and show me the data. So that is all good and well, and we are up and running. But again, you can drop whatever of these. AI is not picky in running in all kinds of different environments. So deployment is not difficult beyond the deployment part. So now let's talk a little about what we have learned in this. So this is a wrap up of season 1. We have made conversations, streaming, image generation, tool calling, token usage, reasoning, user memory, MCP servers, attachment, audio transcripts, storage of the various conversations and settings in Cosmos DB and Blob storage, and we have added multiple auth providers. So a lot of things. But also one thing I often come back to when I do these things, and I have mentioned this in the past and to others, is that the AI part of such things like we do here is actually not that big. It's often that it's just a little tip of the iceberg, but we do a lot of other things: deployment, storage, GUI, audio, configuration, and so on and so forth. So no matter how we build code, we always need more than just the AI. And to just prove that a bit, I made a small summary of what we have done so far. And as you can see, almost 60% of the code we've written around 5,000 lines of code in this project, and almost 60% of it is actually GUI, Razor components, CSS, JavaScript, and so on. The Cosmos and the Blob storage are 15%. The hosting is 9%. Authentication code is 7%. And first, at roughly a little under 7%, is actually the AI code. We have only written 366 lines of AI code. It's quite normal. It's not like that's a problem or anything. It's also a really cool nod to agent framework being so concise and so easy to work with that you don't need a lot of lines of code. They might be the hard lines of code that you need to write, but it is an easy framework, which is really, really nice. But just be aware that whenever you start a project, you will end up writing a lot of non-AI code. It can also be data cleanup if it's input of data and so on. So just be aware that just because you're using AI doesn't mean that it's like 50% of the code. It's often a very, very low number. So that is season 1. Season 2 will start in August 2026. I will take a couple of weeks now off for summer vacation. So no more videos in July. But season 2 have a few planned videos. I'm gonna make some other backends. I'm gonna make a Minimal API backend and an Azure Function backend in order to actually have other front ends as well. We will probably do Blazor Wasm, and we will also do a React front end, despite me not knowing React right now. But luckily, I have Codex to help me do that. Some people have also asked for RAG usage. So right now it's just a chatbot that can use its world knowledge, but we'll try to add RAG usage in. In general, there's more ideas on what we need to do, telemetry, testing, and such things, and it all depends on what you want to see in the repo, RWJ chatbot. There is an open issues list with different things, and you can add more if you want uh, to what you feel like we should put in. But some of the ones I just mentioned are here. We could look at ADUI, A2A, and such things, skills, and so on. So sound out in the comments or add comments here or add your own ideas what should be in season 2 of Let's Build a Chatbot. But for now, have a nice summer and see you in season 2.